Hey, Crosstown, Pastor Stu here in beautiful Tres Cantos, Spain. I am here with Scott Musser and Walter Hopkins. Obviously, you know Walter, but I want to take a few moments and just have a conversation tonight with you. And I want to introduce you to Scott and a little bit about him, and he can kind of fill us in some. But I just met Scott just yesterday. I think it was the first day, and Scott was the founder and originally the director here at Life International School, and kind of got this whole thing started. And now they're going to be going home for home service for a year, and then coming back to Spain. But I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about kind of what his plans are. So Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Stu. Yes, good evening. My name is Scott Musser. We've been serving in Spain for about 25 years now, working in the field of Christian education the whole time. We came here to work in Christian education, and about 10 years ago, God shifted our focus from working with missionary kids to beginning to focus to work on Spanish children, to finding a way to start a Christ-centered school for Spaniards. So that's been our work for these last 8-9 years specifically. And then Life International School started in 2017. We started with 9 students in the preschool. And now today we're up to almost 70, looking at next year. So we're just finishing our 5th year of operation. My official new title is Administrative Assistant for another couple of weeks because Walter took over as the director the 1st of June. So he's now sitting at the main chair where he gets to make all the decisions and answer lots of emails every day.
So Scott feels a weight lifted off his shoulders.
I feel a weight lifted, very much so.
He's grown inches.
But kind of just briefly what kind of started this, it's a kind of an interesting story, Stu, was I was at a conference for student leaders in 2006 in Budapest, and there was a member of the Romanian parliament that was there to thank ACSI, the Association of Christian Schools International, for their help in starting Christian schools after the fall of communism in Romania. And he said that he was there on behalf of his government to thank ACSI because the Christian schools that had since started in Romania, and by now there were over 30 of them, they were transforming the lives of the youth of that country. That was his words.
Wow.
And the first thing that hit me was, why not Spain? Lord, I've been working in Spain in a school for missionaries' kids, but I wasn't aware of any schools anywhere in Spain that were Christian or Christ-centered schools for Spaniards. So that began this process of several years of prayer and just meditation, like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do about that? And it became clear that that was really what God was directing myself, my wife and I to do. So we left that ministry, stayed in Spain, began to focus on what would it look like to start a Christian school. Where do you get the money? Where do you find the teachers? How do you make it recognized? How do you get it accredited? So all that was just a long process. And now we've kind of figured that out with Life International School. This is our pilot school. It's our first school. But the board's vision is to create 20 more schools in the future. We want to see multiple schools created around Spain. So that's partly why we're going back this summer, is to spend an extended time in the States to try to help raise prayer support, financial support, and recruit teachers that want to be a part of a vision that's seeing lives transformed. And we're seeing that right here in this school. Walter had the opportunity yesterday to share the gospel with one of our students that was in his office for some challenging reasons. And then his mother after school, right? I mean, it's an opportunity, it's an open door that God has given us, that people that would never go into a church, but they will entrust their kids to you to educate their kids. We use English as our mode of instruction, and we're seeing some great results. So it's really a God thing.
And because they want their child to learn English, and they want their child to get a good education, they will send their child to this school. They may or may not be Christians. And really the whole goal of the school is, correct me if I'm wrong, is to reach that, I don't want to say this, but it's almost like we hope they aren't Christians. We want them to come and to come to know Christ.
Amen.
through school. It's amazing. You know, I'm all about using different mediums to reach people. And Life International is using school, using education of students to reach them and their families. So that is super exciting. I just love the way it works.
People sometimes say, oh, we just love life, everything. And I have to remind them, I say, life is not the Savior. Jesus is the Savior.
Absolutely.
But we're here to help introduce you to Jesus.
Absolutely. And using that medium. So that is so cool.
And it's great to have the Christian families that are here as well, because they help to serve as an example. And we've seen so many conversations out in the patio here after school between Christian parents and non-Christian parents, and how those have led to families coming and being a part of the church and giving their lives to Christ. And that's not even what's happening in the building. That's what's happening outside of the building after the school hours. And so that's been a real encouragement, even for me to see in my short time here. So,
And you had shared with me a story about a man sharing with another family and kind of inviting them to church. And then that the family was surprised at who that man was.
Right.
Would you share that story with?
Yeah, maybe Scott knows more of the details of it than I do, even because this was before I was here. But a family that had conversation. Correct anything that I'm saying that's incorrect here.
I'm trying to see which story this is. Keep going.
So there's a pastor that heard of a situation with another family here in the church, and the husband, so the father.
The school, you mean?
Sorry, in the school rather, and the father was. Had cancer and was really struggling. And so he was talking just with another parent out here, and that parent invited him to come to church, and he came, and then discovered that parent that he was having a conversation with was actually the pastor of the church, and so that family has since been an integral part, has become a part of that church, and is an integral part of this of our work here at Life as well. You maybe know more to that story than I do.
No, that's a good conclusion.
Yeah, and so it's just been beautiful to see how that family has been transformed as a result of just conversations that are happening out here in the patio. So,
And that's the beauty of it, right? When the school's doing its job, its mission to educate students and in a Christ-like way and share Christ with them, and then you see that spread to the families, and then the families are ministering to each other. That's the way it works. If all the work happens within the school, let's face it, you're going to reach originally 9 kids, which blows my mind to think you start with 9 kids. Here you are 7 years later with, or 5 years later with 70 kids.
Yeah.
But if you just stuck to that, you're going to reach 70 kids, 70 souls. That's what you're going to reach. But when you start branching out in that way, and the families are reaching out, now that number is, who knows, astronomical to think of how you can reach out. So that's something that is really exciting to me to be able to see that. So I have absolutely loved the last couple of days. I've had a chance to be able to be here at Life International School.
we put him to work.
Yes, I did have the opportunity to do a couple things. I'm excited about that. I didn't want to just, be watching. I want to be able to help and do something. So excited to be able to be part of that. But the students have been something I've really enjoyed watching. There are Spanish students that Spain is their home. There are students that come from American families that are living here in Spain. There are, to the best of my understanding at least, students from different nationalities that are here in Spain. So much fun, and to see the personalities of the students. It doesn't matter if you're in Spain, if you're in the U.S., children have personalities.
Sure do.
And there are some that are just a lot of fun. I had a chance yesterday to spend some time in the pre-K and kindergarten room and just sit with kids on my lap reading books. That was the best medicine.
And they loved your beard.
They did love my beard. They did like my beard, yes. That was kind of a favorite. But that was the best medicine for me. Trying to get over some jet lag and trying to get used to the time, I really, really enjoyed that. And I'm hoping to be able to have some more opportunity to do that with the kids. But great things going on here at Life International School. Great education happening. And as here in Spain, just like at home, school is winding down. Today we had you had your last chapel service for the year. That was a lot of fun to be able to be part of that. But as you can imagine, just like your kids at home, they're going a little stir crazy and ready to be done. No change here.
So
right?
are our teachers.
Yes. Yeah. We were talking with one of the teachers on the ride in this morning, and she was like, today's the last full day, marking it off on their calendar. They're ready as well.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter where you're at. Some things stay the same, don't they? Right. So we've talked a little bit about the school. Walter, tell us a little bit about your family. Obviously, people at Crosstown, they know you guys. We love you. And they want to know what's going on in your life outside of the school.
Sure. Yeah, it's been, so we arrived just 4 months ago now, and we spent about a month or so, a little over a month, just kind of trying to get settled, and then have been plugging in here at Life. So our life has been focused on life in the last few months of this time together here. But I know a lot of you have been praying for our son Zach. He's been struggling with his transition at school. I'd say overall the transition to Spain has been very positive for our whole family, but that transition for Zach at school has been a struggle, and it continues to be a struggle. But he has a week and a half left of school, and then he is coming to Life next year. So we're very excited about that. We're going to be adding 8th and 9th grade next year, which is very exciting, and we're seeing some great growth in numbers. We said we're right around 70 and hoping to go even further, for the fall.
You got the word even this morning of another student
that
signed up
next year. Yeah. So it's exciting to see that. So yeah, we've enjoyed time. We've had my parents came and visited for a little while around Easter time. It's been we've had a teacher living in our house for the last 2 months or so. We had an emergency need here for the last 2 months of school, and a Houghton College graduate who just graduated in December was able to come and fill that need for us, and she's been living in our house with us, and we've been enjoying that. And we're adjusting. It's an adjustment. There are always things that come up and emotions and challenges, but overall I would say it's been very positive. We're excited to be here, excited to do the work that the Lord has called us to do, and the kids are flourishing. They're doing well, and we're excited about that. Particularly this exciting news of Zach being able to come here to join us at Life next year has been a highlight of this week. Thankfully, on Monday, Stu just got here on Monday, and Zach had a little bike accident on his way home from school and scraped up his face and his arm and his leg, and Stu was there when he got home, and Stu, the former nurse, or I guess still kind of current nurse, was able to treat his wounds, So be praying for that to heal. He's been a trooper, but it's still a little bit of pain and.
He's still swollen. His face is still swollen.
Yeah.
But for me, that was one of the things. I really wanted to come over here to see you and Laura and Eliana, but my heart's really been breaking for Zach.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to get over here and just love on him and see him. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit excited when you had said Monday, Zach could be the first one home.
Yeah.
And I'd get a chance to see Zach. And I was so excited to see him. And then when he came through the door and his face was scraped up and his leg and his arm and be praying for Zach. He's got, like I said, a week and a half or so left.
Yeah.
But school has been difficult for him, and he has struggled. And I was overjoyed when I got the news that he'd be able to come to Life next year. And so, don't stop praying for Zach. Don't stop praying for the rest of the family as well. But don't stop praying for Zach as he needs that. And
I think of all this experience, I think it's been helpful for Zach to even reflect on this himself a little bit, recognizing that what he's experiencing in a school, and he's going to a private school,
right.
Is exactly why Life School exists, and we hear it from parents all the time. We hear from parents about the challenges that they're facing with their kids in the public school system and even in the private school setting, like Zach's at another private school. But Scott and I just had a family in here, was it Thursday or Friday last week? Mm-hmm. And they just were telling us the stories of that their children are experiencing in the public school setting and how they so want to be able to get their child here to Life. Unfortunately, they have a transportation challenge that they're trying to work out to be able to bring, because they live quite a ways away from Life, and so they really want to get their children here because of those challenges they're facing. And I was able to resonate with that because we're facing those same challenges. Zach is having that struggle in the school here in Spain, and recognizing that this is exactly the reason why Life School exists, is to reach out to those families that want a different kind of education, a distinct type of education for their children, and we're able to offer that distinct type of education, but also offer them the truth of the gospel and the love of Christ. So that's been such an encouragement to me, even to be able to have these conversations with parents and children, and recognize that there's a need for this kind of education in Spain. So,
And what really struck me that surprised me is my wife is in education, I mean, teacher at home, and I guess I just kind of took for granted a lot of public education or private education in the States is really pretty strong. And had a conversation yesterday with, I don't even know if you're aware of this, the curriculum coordinator here, and she had mentioned that she had received a call from a family member, and they wanted to know, would they be able to ask questions about what does the curriculum look like if their student was to come? What does the curriculum look like? What would they learn? And she was able to go through all that with them, and they said that they had the school, and I don't know if it was a private or a public school that they had been dealing with, but they wouldn't share that information with the parents. They just say, we'll educate your kid, and you don't need to know what we're teaching them. And that just kind of blew my mind. And it sounds like that's not a rarity.
No,
that's a common thing.
That's pretty much normal here, Stu. Basically the philosophy in Spain is we're the educators, we're the professionals. You drop your students off at the door. And in fact, many schools, even primary schools, parents are not allowed inside the outside gate. You are not allowed in that area at all because that's not your realm. That's not your domain. So you drop your kids off. We'll give them to you at the end of the day, and whatever is put in their minds throughout the day, the parents may or may not be aware.
We get to make that decision, right? As to what that is.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that's so different about life is we invite parental participation. We love to have volunteers come and be a part of what we're doing. We like to have parents come and see what's going on in the classroom with the kids. And that just blows them away because they're not used to any educational model that invites parent input or participation. So, and that's part of what's helped to build the community that Walter was referring to is it's transparent. We don't have anything to hide. What we're doing here is we're doing it out of the love of Christ. I've got my life shirt on today for a meeting I have later, but love, integrity, faith, and excellence, that's what makes up our name. And this context of love, Christ-like love, is what Spanish schools, public or private, don't have. So that sets us apart from the beginning.
and sometimes the parents even come to the door and they're like, "Can I come in?" And we're like, "Of course you can. You're invited. You're welcome into this building." And it's new to them. They're not accustomed to that.
Because they're not allowed welcome to be part of their child's education.
Right.
Whereas here they are.
And I, even this parent that Scott mentioned earlier that I spoke with yesterday, I said, we are a team educating your child together. We're not just the educators. We're not the only educators. That you are part of that process as well. So it's an important piece.
And I'm sure that's a foreign thought for Spaniards because what they know is they're not part of the team. Right. What they've been taught is they're not part of the team. The school will take care of it, and you just stay back.
Yeah. You're the parents. We're the educators. You do your job at home. We'll do our job at school, and we don't overlap.
And we don't overlap.
The two shall meet.
Yes. And that's obviously not the healthy way to raise a generation. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about what are the plans. I think, Scott, I don't think you and I talked about it on camera. We talked before, but the plan is you're going home, and then you're going to come back. And what's the goal when you come back?
Yeah. So the goal when we come back, our board would like to see 3 more schools started in Madrid. Okay. Different points of Madrid. Greater Madrid's a city area of 6.5 million people. We're the only school like this in all of Madrid. There are many, many Christians spread throughout Madrid, not a very high percentage.
Let me stop you there quick, just so people understand. We are in Tres Cantos, which is really a suburb of Madrid.
Kind of like a suburb. It's a northern suburb of the city.
About 20, 25 minutes from the city. Is that by car?
From the heart of downtown, 25 minutes.
Okay, so go ahead. So we're talking 3 more schools in the Madrid area within...
Right, within these suburbs. There's southern suburbs, there's western suburbs, eastern suburbs. So maybe one in the center of town, maybe one on kind of the southwest side of town, maybe one on the east side of town. So those would be 3 areas where we know that there's a concentration of people. There are some strong churches in those areas. So we have yet to begin to fully flesh out where those specific areas will be. But we've had a lot of contact with pastors and missionaries in the area that have said, we would love a Christian school here. Okay. Could we start one here? And so in the model of life, what we'd like to see happen is these would be feeder schools kind of think of the spoke mentality with the center of the spoke would be Life International School, the center of the wheel, and then the spokes are all pointing to life. And those would be feeder schools that could be preschools up through 6th grade, and then starting with 7th, which is kind of where Spanish secondary starts, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Those kids could be directed to Tres Cantos, where here we want to see a purpose-built facility, a campus established that could hold maybe 500 or 600 kids.
Okay.
So we don't have that yet. We don't have the resources for that yet. We're at 70, but we're growing, and we're trusting God, for that. Part of the next phase of that vision is starting more schools and then seeing the Tres Cantos project continue to grow as well into maturity. I mean, that's Walter's task. That's what the board has given him the mandate to do, is say, help take this fledgling thing. Let's put more structure. Let's build it. Let's see it become a flourishing school for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had the opportunity yesterday, while doing some kind of odd jobs around here, to go downstairs in the building and got to see a possible new facility that will add to the existing school. There's some rooms downstairs that they may have the opportunity to rent in the future, and then that would possibly open up for some of the older grades, kids. I know Walter had mentioned one of the things that they also had talked about here, and I'll try to get some pictures maybe of the outside of the school so you can have a better reference. But if you think of it, we're kind of in a square. There's kind of an open area in the middle, and then businesses around the outside. But there's posts around, so you have a covered area. And on the side of the building, that covered area really leads to nowhere. I mean, you're on the second floor at that end, at least, but yet there's a lot of times people hanging out in there, teenagers hanging out in that space at night, not helping the school. Let's just put it that way. I think just the other day the police were here because there was some graffiti and things that, one of the goals they would love to do is close in that area and kind of make that more of an indoor-outdoor space, and kind of protect that part of the school. And so, of course, that's going to take some money. It's going to take some money and some effort to be able to do that. But that's just one of the needs. I think of the downstairs, and if you can grow and bring in more students and make that into an area for the older kids, then you're going to need some work there and some help there. So just kind of thinking, what can we do as Crosstown to be part of that? If those are areas, maybe then maybe that's someplace you could step up and help. I guess the other thing is that really has opened my eyes is, you mentioned you have a teacher that's been here, kind of had to come in an emergency thing, and she's been here for 2 months.
Right.
She'll be here for about 2 months, right? Another teacher that's finishing up had another kind of an emergency area. A teacher had to leave, and so she's here for
just a week and a half,
weeks,
really.
A couple weeks.
Yeah.
Finishing up the last couple weeks of school. And you may think, okay, I'm a retired teacher, or I have some education background, but I don't speak Spanish. Let me tell you, here at Life, they encourage, part of the plan is to teach in English, so that the students learn English. I don't speak Spanish either. Many of you know that. My kids tell me I speak Spanglish. But in the school, you would get along perfectly fine not speaking Spanish.
In fact, there are several of our teachers that don't speak Spanish.
Don't speak any Spanish.
That's
okay.
right. Yeah.
So don't let that be a hindrance to stop you.